when it's convenient, we are not Igbos. When it's convenient, we are South-South. When it's convenient, we are not South-South. When it's not convenient, we are not Igbos. So you see, they can't keep picking and choosing for us all the time. Maybe the Ikweres, I'm not from Ikwere, and maybe they don't consider themselves Igbos. I'm from Asaba, and I know I'm an Igbo man. Okay, so that's it.
Still on the raging argument and controversy of who is who and who is not, who come from Benin and who is not from Benin, who come from Igbo and who is not Igbo. I don't know how a people that is about 40 something million can be coming from a people that are not up to 5 million. I don't see how. I don't see how. I don't know if you understand me now. A population, people that their population is about 40 something million people. Even in the region, there are people occupying a particular geopolitical zone alone. And the people that are claiming that these people that has 5 states come from them, that they are not even up to a state, they are just about a quarter, not even up to a quarter of a those state. How is that possible? Well, I don't want us to delve too much into it. Listen, what is a video of Shuka? There is a politician, is a former government person from Delta State, is of the Igbo extraction in Delta State. Hear what you have to say about these issues.
Fine, Ruben. Thank you for having me once again. You made a comment which resonated with me, and that is one of the main reasons why I'm here this morning. You talked about mainstream Igbo. What is that? I don't think there's anything called mainstream Igbo. Because, you see, if we go back a little bit in history, even from the coup that brought, that truncated Nigerians' democracy, as far as I'm concerned, and put us in the quandary we seem to be in 1966, one of the major participants was a young man called, he was a major, Nzogo. He's from Okpanam. Okpanam is just 2 minutes away from Asaba. It's more or less the same place as Asaba, which makes him an Oshimili Igbo person. From that axis, the Anyocha Oshimili area, we speak exactly the same kind of, when I have a discussion with any brother of mine across the Niger, he understands what I'm saying. There might be little fluctuations of one word. We can say shine, they can say rine, you know, and little things like that. But in the main, it is the same dialect, it is the same language. Now, when you look at even the effort of the Biafran War, you know, and I want to talk about personal experience here, you will see that the Oshimili and Nyocha Igbos were even the ones that bore most of the brunt of that war. Both in terms of course, the Asaba massacre is known to everybody. I don't think any town, either in the southeast or anywhere in Nigeria, suffered as much as the Asaba people did, with the kind of killings and the program that went on in Asaba on that fateful day. Why was that so? If you think those people, the federal troops did not have enough intelligence to tell them that this town was solidly behind the Biafran agitation. My late father was a medical doctor who was practicing in Benin at the time when the Civil War broke out. I was barely 6 years old, my 2 elder sisters. And my mom is of the Yoruba extraction. She had a choice of taking us to her parents in Ibadan where they were living. But she said, no, wherever my husband is going, I'm going to go with my husband. And they put us in 2 cars and we went across. They went to look for an old friend of his, that they were all in Benin, who lived in Oka, Chief Dom Nwosu Njikoka, as they called him. And we stayed with him in his house in Oka, and both families became one, and thereafter we ran from one town to the other throughout the 30 months of the Biafran Civil War. Obviously, if my father did not take us away, possibly I might not even have been here, because the children were killed, women were killed. There is no family in Asaba that did not suffer the loss of one person or the other, a man, woman, or child. So whenever I hear this talk about Igbo presidency, and people are trying to say there is some subgroup of Igbo or there's mainstream Igbo, it doesn't resonate with me. Because you see, the Anioma people, or rather the Oshimili Anyocha people, will always be shortchanged in Nigeria. Let me tell you a little story. In 1999, when the new democracy started, it was everywhere. It was an open secret that the person that was tipped to be the secretary to the Federation at that time was Chief Philip Asiodu. He is my godfather, he's my uncle, he took me into government. We all know his antecedents, super palmsec, very cerebral and everything. He's one of the custodians of Nigerian history and political economy and everything. And he was supposed to be the secretary to the government of of Nigeria at that time. And just before the announcement was made, they decided that, oh no, since a Southeasterner, an Igbo man, was going to be number 3, that is the Senate president, the Wazobia thing. There was going to be a president from the West, a vice president from the North, and the Senate president from the East, as it were, who was an Igbo man. Now, they refused to make it. He was not confirmed as the SGF anymore, which was supposed to be like number 6 or whatever in the hierarchy, because he was an Igbo man. So at that time, he conveniently lost that position because he was Igbo. But they didn't remember that he was also South-South, because the whole idea, they said they had to look for a true South-South Nigerian, and that's how Ufo Tekaite was made the secretary to the government. So you see, when it's convenient, we are not Igbos. When it's convenient, we are South-South. When it's convenient, we are not South-South. When it's not convenient, we are not Igbos. So you see, they can't keep picking and choosing for us all the time. And it is particularly heart-wrenching when I see, hey, we know how Nigeria works. Whether an Igbo man will be president, only God knows. Personally, I want to see that happen, even if you say yes. When there were just 4 regions in Nigeria, the first premier was Chief Dennis Osadibe. Yes, he was from Asaba. And he was the premier of Midwest State. Midwest region, rather. So what I'm saying is that we never lacked the manpower, the capacity of human beings, or that human capital that can deliver on that kind of mandate as the president of Nigeria. So to keep shutting the door at us, using all these, little colorations that are always brought into the matter, you are South-South now, you are not Igbo now, you are not mainstream Igbo, it just doesn't make sense to me. That is the truth. I, as an Igbo man, am complaining that an Igbo man has not been president. So while I'm complaining about that and feeling a little bit shortchanged there, not because an Igbo man being president is going to make it any better for me, because you see, I'm a pan-Nigerian by my birth and by the kind of life I've lived. So when anybody comes and says the Igbos are not reaching out, it cannot be true. You see, there are different kinds of Igbo people, there are different kinds of Yoruba people, there are different kinds of Northerners and all of that. So if you have an Igbo man who obviously, just like Babangida said, you must have a friend everywhere, that is insular in his own upbringing, and he wasn't privileged by the schools he went to mix early in life with people from other parts of Nigeria. It will come up that way. But I can assure you that for every Yoruba man or every Northerner that comes up with a cosmopolitan Nigerian candidate that can reach out to all of Nigeria, there will always be an Igbo man that can do that as well. It's about getting the right person that will also fit that bill. Although right now in Nigeria, if you ask me, and that's why I'm thinking that once we can get over this hurdle of ethnicity, maybe that is why it's important that an Igbo person, should be the next president. And after that, maybe then that way we know that everybody, it has satisfied the whole country. Then we now start going for strictly meritocracy. Because the problems and the challenges confronting Nigeria now are much beyond this idea of where you come from or where you don't come from.
They even say the kind of Igbo that you guys, from the subnational Igbo groups speak is not Igbo.
Yeah, using that word again.
So how do you deal with that? Because the mainstream Igbo, I don't think they will ever accept.
Like that. That's why I'm here today. There's nothing like mainstream Igbo. We are all Igbos. I'm sorry. And anybody that comes here to tell you that is lying to you. We are all Igbos. I'm as Igbo as any other Igbo man in Nigeria. Maybe the Ikweres, I'm not from Ikwere, and maybe they don't consider themselves Igbos. I'm from Asaba, and I know I'm an Igbo man. Okay, so that's it. Now, Igbos from anywhere, that is the argument I'm putting forward today, are Igbos as far as I'm concerned, provided they share that same affinity, they share the same language, the same cultural affinity, and all the things that bind ethnic tribes, as a heterogeneous whole. So I don't care whether you're from Igala Igbo, as they call them, from Kogi, or wherever, an Igbo man is an Igbo man. That is my feeling.